Today's Evening First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good Thursday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your Thursday night weather update. And no secret about it, things have changed compared to earlier today, where we had some sunshine back in the mix, which was a much needed change of pace after the last couple of days. And it looks like that has been replaced by some rain for tonight, which I know it's hard to believe, and usually I get someone to yell at me every time I say this, but we still need some of this rain. I know it doesn't seem like it, especially because we've been melting snow and things like that, but we had drought conditions coming into the season, and we are still under drought conditions now. I know it, again, is hard to believe, but the more work we can do now going into the next growing season is always important, and our water levels on the Great Lakes are really low too. So we've got to replenish those a little bit, but we've got some rain that's on the way for tonight. That rain is expected to move through primarily late this evening and into the overnight hours, and then it will start to slow down into Friday morning. You'll notice some of that rain as it's moving on through right now is heavy at times, coming down at a decent rate. I wouldn't necessarily call them, tropical downpours or anything like that, but certainly some times where it's going to come down, and you'll probably be able to hear it inside your house or wherever you're at. As far as the hour-by-hour forecast goes, I know it may not seem like it either, but our temperatures obviously have been pretty warm today, and there's a chance that they can warm up even a little bit more as we head through tonight. Those temperatures will likely stick around the 40s for most of the early parts of tonight. And I think as we start getting closer to midnight in the first couple of hours after midnight, we'll eventually get some temps that try to rise into the mid-50s. I think our southern row of counties right along I-69, these areas right here, I think these are the areas and south of there that have the best chance to pick up temperatures that may be around the mid-50s tonight, maybe even sneaking into the upper 50s, and probably even a little bit warmer from there. I believe one of our loyal live streamers, Caleb, I think you're located a little bit closer to Adrian, if my memory serves me correct. Maybe you have a chance to touch 60 tonight or get pretty darn close, just with how things are warming up. So that'll be interesting to watch. We've got rain moving through still at 1:30 in the morning, still some showers right around 3 o'clock, and then eventually we start to see them diminish as we head towards the latter half of the overnight hours. And then by the time we get to Friday morning's commute and the Friday morning bus stops, it looks like we've got just some scattered showers at that point. I do think there's a possibility that this line right here could be a little bit more put together than what it's showing right there. There may be just a little bit more organization to it, and then we'll have to watch and see if the secondary round tries to come through, maybe with a few snowflakes as temperatures are cooling off. But let me back up a little bit, because note these temperatures here. This is lunchtime, Friday at 12. We're back in the upper 30s. This is where we started the day, right around the 50s. And so we are going to drop pretty significantly just from the 7 o'clock hour into the lunch hour. And so be prepared for that. If you're a parent sending your student out to the bus stop tomorrow, just know that it's going to be super warm, and they may come back in the house and say, I'm dressed too warmly for today, especially after we've been in the below average temperatures for so long. Today felt really nice. Chet was telling me earlier that he was outside in a t-shirt briefly earlier today. But I promise that things will be getting colder as the day goes on tomorrow, so make sure your students are prepared as they head out to the bus stops tomorrow night. And then by tomorrow morning, I should say, and then by tomorrow night, we are in the middle to upper 30s, and likely with some wind gusts that are between about 30 and 40 miles per hour tomorrow. I think we'll have a chance at some wind chills that are probably in the 20s to low 30s by that point as well. So it's going to be what we call a weather whiplash kind of day, where things start very warm in the morning, and that is certainly not going to be the case as we wrap up the day. So before we get to the weekend, that is how things shake out with the hour-by-hour forecast with the rain. Here's a look at some of the rainfall totals. This does not include what has fallen thus far, so this is what's left to go, projecting about a ½ inch to an inch of rain through this evening and also through Friday morning. I think there could be a few spots. We've got some downpours tonight. If it's consistent, could somebody go over an inch here and there? I don't necessarily think it's impossible. I just think it's more of the exception. But we're going to get a measurable rain tonight. And it'll be about a ½ inch to an inch. So some of these totals have gone up a little bit today as we have gotten some of our high resolution data, which usually is data that is almost like a sharper image where we can see things a little bit better. It takes into account some more small scale features that our longer range models don't. Think of it this way, our longer range models use all of their power to go out farther in time, so they don't waste time trying to get a better image. They just try to give us a longer image. Well, the high resolution models only go out about 24 to 36 hours, but they use a lot of their power to get a better image rather than going farther out in time. So that's why forecasts sometimes change at the last minute, especially smaller scale forecasts like lake effect snow. That's why sometimes the amounts go up very quickly, is because our high resolution models, which aren't available until sort of right up to the event, might be picking up on some smaller features that perhaps our longer range models aren't doing so. And so today we had a pretty nice boost in some of these rainfall totals, but still, even then, I think we can handle this amount of water. Not saying we're not going to have nuisance standing water, those types of things. That just comes with the time of year. But as far as any major flooding threat, any major river rises or anything like that, I don't expect that to be the case as of now, but of course we'll always watch how things are going. Let's take a look at the chat, see what we've got going on here. Terry, good to see you. Everything is well on my end. Let's see. Jared watching from Chesaning as usual. Taisha, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Hi from Flint, the vehicle city. Stacy says, hopefully my driveway melts. It's still solid ice. Yeah, I'm hoping the end of my driveway where things usually pile up when the plows come through. Unfortunately, the last time that happened, usually I let them come through and I cleared out. But this time the rapidly falling temperatures beat me to it. So I had a big chunk of ice near the end of my driveway. So thankfully that's starting to melt a little bit. We'll get to the wind in just a second, Stacy. Sherry from Gladwin, as always. Kathy, any more black ice? No, it should be warm enough as we go through tonight. No freezing rain. Could have swore I saw somebody ask about snow. Yes, Craig. Do you know how much snow is coming this weekend? I'll get to that, Craig, here in a minute. All right, so I think I'm caught up on the chat. So thanks for everyone for joining in so far. So let's go to the snow first, and then we'll kind of circle back to the winds. So here's Saturday morning. This is after our rain has been long gone, and I think tomorrow the wind will help us out on the roads, drying things out before things drop on Friday night. So I'm not concerned about black ice Friday night yet, at least on a widespread scale. And Chris saying raining pretty good in Tawas right now. I can believe that. Chris, always feel free to send me reports from Tawas. That's kind of an area we don't get a lot of observations. So I will take any spotter reports anytime, whether it's on the TV5 Facebook page or my Facebook page. Always looking for reports from Tawas, Oscoda. It's kind of a radar dead zone up there, and so it's really tough to get a gauge sometimes what is actually happening at ground level. But anyway, we start dry Saturday, and I'm hoping the wind on Friday afternoon dries us out going into Saturday when we start a little bit colder. But then as we get towards late morning and lunchtime, you start to see the snow break out, and it kind of just hangs with us occasionally through the evening. It's not necessarily constant in every area. It seems a little broken at times, but you can clearly see it's still ongoing at about 4, still ongoing at about 6, still ongoing at 8, but starting to move out a little bit, and then it just kind of circles back around, and we get a bit of a break early Sunday morning, and then the last of it sort of pushes through a little bit. And that's about as far as our model goes for now. We should be getting the update soon. The numbers with snow have kind of fluctuated over the last 24 hours, I'll be quite honest with you. The European model, which is a big one that we use, if you've heard before, the European model tends to be one of the more accurate models we have. and it's been one of those for a long period of time. Other models are starting to catch up to it, but the European has traditionally been the best performing model over time. And when I looked at the data last night, looking towards the weekend, the European model came in significantly weaker than it had been. And so I'm a little hesitant until we get into tomorrow and we get a little bit more consistency in some of the early high resolution data that we have. I'm hesitant to put out snowfall totals at this time, but I did get at least something put together. And so we've used probabilities before, and just think of probabilities as we take all of our models that we have and we sort of mush them all together. And we look at how many of them are pointing to a certain scenario. Or another example I use with my students at SVSU is I say, if I were to ask 50 of you to solve a math problem and 49 of you got the same answer and one student got a completely different answer, if you had to, make a guess on what the correct answer is, would you side with the 49 or would you decide to go with the one who got something completely different? More often than not, you would go with the consensus, especially if it was an overwhelming consensus like that. So what these ensemble probabilities are is it's taking all of our models and it's looking at how many of those models come up with a similar solution. And so in this case, I thought 2 inches was a good baseline for this system. And so we look at all of our models and we come up with these percentages. And so I think the chance of snow this weekend at about 2 inches or more in the northwestern half is about 40 to 60%. So roughly about a coin flip if you averaged it out over the entirety of that area. And so about a 50-50 shot to pick up 2 inches of snow or more. And then if you look to the south, it's about 10 to 40%. So less than a coin flip in many of those areas. And so I think a lot of that not only speaks to the fact that the system wasn't looking quite as strong late last night and still doesn't look quite as strong today, but also it just doesn't seem like there's, I would say, as much likelihood that we'll pick up the bigger amounts of snow. And so I think if I had to put a number on this early, and keep in mind this could change, is I think this is about a 1 to 3 inch type snowfall. And I think there's a possibility if we can get some mixing involved, which is, I think, still within the realm of possibility in some of these southern areas. I thought I was getting my pointer. I think there could be some mixing depending on where the system ultimately goes. There could be some spots that maybe even check in under an inch. And so this is a good baseline. We'll have a snowfall map tomorrow, I promise. We will give you some snowfall totals more specifically, but I would say if I had to make a guess right now, I'd say about a 1 to 3 inch type snowfall, maybe 4 towards the top end of that range. But I think most would fall within about 1 to 3. And just saw a question from Mama Bear Richardson. This is happening on Saturday. So Saturday into Sunday morning. So that's where things stand with that. Jeff, how much rain is expected? I would say tonight between a half inch to an inch. Those totals have gone up since yesterday. And Chris, appreciate you saying you'll pass me some reports from Tawas. That would be excellent. Jason and Lori, Ogama County, good to see you all. Colton, I know you're a frequent watcher. Let's get to the winds. And then if nobody has any questions, that'll do it for the live stream tonight. I think there's a possibility. Let me just see what the current winds are doing. As we're getting rain underway, you're starting to see some gusts around 25 to 30. I think there's a possibility that as some of these showers move through, that we might be able to see some occasional gusts around 40, 45 miles per hour. I think some gusts between 30 and 40 are probably a bit more likely. But I think there's potential that these could have some gustiness as they come through. What you're seeing tonight is it's not as strong at the surface as it is high above our heads. There is a really good pop of wind later tonight above our heads. But the question is, can we build these showers high enough in the atmosphere to actually access that wind. And so this is just a rough example, if our really strong wind is at 10,000 feet, but the showers only build themselves up to about 8,000 feet, well, then we're not reaching into that zone. And so we're not taking that wind and we're not bringing it down to the surface. But if we can get, 10,000 feet, and again, this is just an example, but if we can get some of those showers to get into that layer, there is a possibility that some of this could come down to the ground. And so this model right here is picking up on some of that, where it's saying, hey, maybe we could get an isolated gust between about 40 and 50. But I do think that if that were to happen, I think that's more of the exception rather than the rule. I think frequent gusts between about 30 and 40 are possible as these showers come through tonight. And I think that's possible tomorrow morning as well. But then just like tonight, Friday morning, I think there's a small possibility we get a limited window where we could touch 40 to 50. I just don't think this is uniform enough, and I don't think the window at either time is long enough to see a wind advisory. But we'll see if the Weather Service tomorrow in Detroit has something different to say about it. And I think when you'll see the biggest change in the wind, or the biggest potential to get some of those 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts, is right about this time. Notice what's happening right in this area here. You've got the southwesterly winds right here. You've got the northwesterly winds right here. So what is in between? We've got the cold front right here passing through the area about lunchtime tomorrow. And so I think that cold front passing through could be enough to maybe get those winds started. But if we fast forward to 5 o'clock, those winds are already gone, or they're moving on out. And so that's only about a 5-hour window there, which seems like a long time for us, but that's also a wind advisory usually is for a longer period of time than that. So that's the wind. I think gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour as some of these showers move through tonight, probably a good possibility. Special weather statement type level, but nothing severe. And then if we can get everything to sort of come together just right in the weather puzzle tonight, maybe a chance that we could get some gusts near 40 and 50 miles per hour. So that's where the wind is. Windy. Power outages this weekend. I don't see the wind being that strong if I even took the wind out into Saturday. These are gusts, only about 15 to 20, it seems like. Doesn't look terribly strong. On Sunday, little pop of wind going into Sunday, but only about 30 to 40. Usually that's not enough to lead to widespread power outages. I guess I could say never because we've soaked up the ground a little bit. So things like dead trees and stuff can fall down pretty easily. I suppose that can knock out power, but I wouldn't say it's a strong chance. And yeah, Chris, I think the wind will help dry things out tomorrow. That's my hope anyway, and hopefully we can do that before temperatures drop. So that's kind of all I've got. I'll give just another minute or so. If anyone wants to ask a question, I'll throw up your 7-day really quick, just so you can see that, kind of the trends going into next week. We've got some scattered snow showers that linger Sunday. We've got the chance for some rain and snow showers Tuesday, some flurries Wednesday, but really nothing to write home about. Scott McIntyre, good to see you. Scott's always been a loyal follower from the thumb. And yeah, Kathy, I can show tonight through tomorrow morning one more time. So we've got the rain now. And we're pretty much going to have it off and on throughout tonight. Still some rain at midnight. Still some rain at 1. Still some rain at 3. But starting to move out closer to the morning commute tomorrow. I still think you'll see some scattered showers early Friday. But I think things will be winding down pretty good the further into Friday we go. In June, that's not an unpopular opinion. I have had more people tell me that they would rather this be snow than all of this rain, fog, and drizzle we have had. So you are not alone. Kristen, good to see you. And then again, for anybody just joining, if you need a quick reference point for the weekend, I didn't put a snowfall map together but just kind of put a probability out there for 2 inches or more. And thinking about probably a 40 to 60% chance from areas like Mount Pleasant, Midland, and Standish. Pinconning probably included in that to the north and west. And a slightly lesser chance of 2 inches or more in the gray shaded area, including Bay City, Saginaw, Chesaning, and Caro, and down towards Flint. Early indications, maybe a 1 to 3 inch type snow, but stay tuned if that changes tomorrow. Yep, Craig, I'll be on tomorrow, 9 o'clock live stream as usual. We'll get you prepared for the weekend. And yeah, the wind has been stronger, it seems, the last few years. It's not as bad as you think, but we've had some stronger winds the last few years. And no problem, Nick, no problem for the update. All right, I am going to, one more question. Debbie asks, is it true for every inch of rain there is 10 inches of snow? That is the baseline, Debbie, but we can actually get ratios as big as 20 to 1, where every inch of rain is 20 inches of snow, or every inch of rain is 30 inches of snow. Those are usually the really fluffy types. And then we can also have ratios as low as maybe 4 or 5 to 1. So for every inch of snow, we've got that really heavy, wet concrete that only produces about 4 or 5 inches of snow for every inch of rain. So 10 to 1 is pretty much the standard. 10 to 1 is what we call kind of a normal snow. Miss Rhonda, good to see you. Rhonda worked with me in the cafeteria at CMU. She was a wonderful manager of our department. I will have to see you soon, Rhonda. If I'm in Mount Pleasant, I'm going to let you know sometime soon. But I will see everyone later. We will do this, like I said, again tomorrow night, and we'll get you ready for the weekend. Until then, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you all tomorrow.